What's up, my guys and geeks? So I ranked all the MCU films and TV shows a while back, full video by clicking the card somewhere up here. But in that video, talked about how I didn't really enjoy as many of the Phase 4 and 5 projects, and how very few of them were in my top tiers as opposed to earlier MCU projects. And it's no secret that the quality of the MCU has dwindled a lot in the recent years since Endgame. Critical reception is down, box office sales are down, and just audience enjoyment of the MCU as a whole has really been lost. So today I want to talk about the MCU, give my opinion on where I think it went wrong, and talk about how I think it could get back on track. Alright, if you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell for more awesome Geek Space content. And be sure to give me your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of the MCU as it is now, and how do you think it can improve or do better in the future? So first, I want to talk about where I think the MCU went wrong. Because after Endgame, there was a lot of excitement. I know I felt like the future of the MCU was bright, and that I was very interested in a lot of the projects that were announced. Now, Black Widow obviously felt like it was coming out far after it should have, but it still seemed like it would be an interesting project. I was so excited to see Taskmaster as a villain. And then other projects like WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I was interested in seeing those stories and seeing the continuation of this saga after Endgame. But I think the main problem with the MCU, the thing that held it back from becoming better, is that they stopped focusing on characters so much and more about building the universe. Now, obviously, there was some character exploration. I felt like movies like Shang-Chi did a pretty good job exploring characters. But there were a lot of other projects where it seems like they're just trying to build towards something big. They're trying to build towards the next thing and get the next thing to happen instead of focusing on characters. Now, obviously, for example, She-Hulk was a very bad project. There's no defending it.
This is a mess. None of these storylines make any sense.
But I do think it could have been a lot better if there was more of a focus on Jen Walters as a character, more of a focus on fleshing her out and making her feel like a fulfilled character, instead of doing all this setup about Hulk having a son and trying to set up Kevin as an android controlling the MCU and trying to give teasers for Daredevil being there. Well,
I'm Daredevil.
while I appreciate Daredevil's inclusion in the show, I just feel like they were so focused on trying to set up plot points for future projects. Plot points that we may never get to see again, by the way. I'll talk about that later. But they were so busy setting up plot points that they didn't focus as much on characters. Or Eternals, for instance, was very overstuffed. It had too many characters. And as a result of that, and as a result of them trying to set up so many things, like setting up Black Knight and the Celestial Threat and Tiamat and all these different things, we didn't get a chance to really explore the characters and come to love them. I feel like post-Endgame, there haven't been as many of those characters like Captain America and Iron Man that audiences can latch onto and feel an emotional connection with, because they haven't properly fleshed out the characters. They've been so focused on building towards the next thing and kind of industrializing the process that they've lost a lot of the spark and character exploration that made the MCU attractive. But of course, there's also the other aspect of them utterly failing to really give individual directors a creative influence. And you can see it in the contrast between a project like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the Marvels. Wakanda Forever, you distinctly feel a director's individual flavor, and while I didn't like that film as much as the first Black Panther, it was a lot better than most of the MCU post-Endgame projects, because you would feel a single director's vision and passion, and you could really feel an emotional through line, and that film was very much character-driven. It was very much an exploration of Shuri as a character, and whether you loved it or not, whether you found it as good as the first one or not, you can't deny that it's a lot better than its surrounding projects because it takes the time to focus on characters and feel like an individual project. Whereas you take the Marvels or Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, they feel like they were directed by a committee. They feel like they were just put through this process, put through the basic formula of what makes an MCU film. Throw in some visual spectacle here, throw in a big boss battle there, throw in a CGI bad guy there. And it feels like they've lost a lot of the spark and interest that made things interesting.
And I will burn them out of time.
It feels like just as a whole, the people working with the MCU, the people working on these individual projects, have lost passion for filmmaking. Like with the Marvels, pretty much everything looks like it's on a VFX back screen because it is. There's no interest, there's no passion in trying to find locations to shoot. There's no passion in trying to explore the characters and get deeper character moments. It's just a lot of setting up for the future of the MCU. And then they don't even deliver on a lot of those promises. I mentioned how there's plot points that it seems like we'll never get to see again. Already, it's been like 5-6 years since Avengers Endgame, and the majority of those plot threads have been dropped or become irrelevant. The plot thread about Hulk having a son, nobody has any idea when we're revisiting that. The idea of Spider-Man being on his own and having to carve out his new life after No Way Home. No idea when we're revisiting that. It's been years since we've had Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So even when we do get Thunderbolts next year, it will have been several years, almost half a decade since we've seen those characters before. So those plot threads really feel like they've been dropped. When are we going to revisit the fact that there was a Celestial emerging from the planet again? There's just a lack of consistency and continuation. So they've sacrificed building up characters in order to build up these moments, but then they're not even delivering on the moments, on the excitement, on the future plot points that we felt like they were coming to.
It's bad. That's very bad.
And so they've really kind of lost on both sides. They don't have as many compelling characters that keep fans coming back, and they also don't have the exciting moments and the exciting plot threads that they promised us and seemed to want to tease. But I don't believe it's all bad news. I believe that it's very much possible for the MCU to improve and to come back. I personally think that after Secret Wars, they really need to streamline the amount of content they produce, make sure that they follow up on everything, and make sure that they bring back that passion for projects. They shouldn't greenlight projects simply because they believe it'll appease a certain audience or simply to meet a quota of the amount of content they have to put out. They have to return to the focus of making great stories that explore great characters and provide something interesting. There does need to be a little twist, a little flair, but that should come from the director and from the crew and from the cast's passion about the project rather than some kind of MCU industrial formula trying to build up to the next big moment or next big team up or crossover. So ultimately, I really think it's up to the MCU, up to Kevin Feige and the executives at Disney and Marvel to make an active effort to really ensure that characters, ensure that passion is the focus of the MCU. If they're able to return to that ability to make us care about the characters, be able to provide something beyond charisma and one or two character aspects, but really explore these characters and make us care about what happens to them and getting to see them win and succeed and grow, then they'll have returned to what made the MCU so great.
Well said.
But alright, those are my thoughts on the state of the MCU right now and where it can go. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the next awesome Geek Space video. And make sure you comment down below what you think about the MCU right now. If you want to see me rank all the MCU heroes from worst to best, you can click on this side of the screen. And if you want to see me talk about the new Fantastic Four casting and what I think about the movie, be sure to click on this side of the screen. You've only got 3 seconds because this video is about to end. Adios.